Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Baka. We are an anime podcast where every 2 weeks, we come together and discuss an anime we've recently watched in a very book club inspired format. And then we turn the discussion over to you, our audience, our listeners, dare I say our fans. I shouldn't have said that. It feels dirty. I didn't like it. Yeah, you guys get to tell us where we're right, where we're wrong. Really, we're just trying to get the conversation started. But we're no better than anybody else. We're literally 3 Bakas. That's the whole shebang. We're watching our favorite anime. Maybe not on an individual basis, but for the podcast. This is the podcast favorite anime. So if you're not here to watch this anime get glazed, not for you.
100%.
But we are watching the second half of season 3 of ReZero. Go listen to our first half. I explained why we keep watching ReZero, why there's no rules, stuff like that. But we need to finish that conversation, and it starts now. But to do so, I need the help of my co-host. First off, with his, dare I say, anime hot take? I already did the dare I say, didn't I? I went back to it.
It was just so good.
It was. I loved it so much the first time. Anyway, he's the Mariah to my always be my baby. It's Jeremy.
I knew it. 2 to 3 years, even 4 is way too long for my ReZero fix. That's the best I could get for a hot take. It's taking too long.
You have a solution.
I know. I don't want to spoil myself. I want to enjoy it as an anime. I don't want to read
No,
it.
I mean, like, throw more money at them, whip them with the animators. Like, what do you want?
Well, they're getting the Crunchyroll money at least. I mean, I'm paying for this one.
Well, this is our last episode.
It's called Animator Crunched. Okay, it's a major problem in the anime industry. We can talk about it, but not today.
We could bring on like multiple studios to do one anime. We could share the burden.
Yeah.
And then ditch some of the less interesting anime.
I would agree there's too much anime. I think that is one of the biggest problems. Yeah.
But I know you've used that as a hot take like 2 or 3 times, so I didn't want
Yeah, so I don't get to use that again. All right. We also have the Mariah to my All I Want for Christmas Is You. It's Jason.
Nice. If you're animating panoramic shots of a fight sequence, it's so unnecessary. You're just flexing at that point.
Very specific. Hot take.
So
So
you
hot.
prefer that they don't, or you prefer that they do?
I'm just saying, they're stealing the candy is the safest way I can say it, of literally every other isekai anime out there, and it's just frustrating.
No, they care. They care about the story.
So,
We'll get to it.
anyways,
Get to it in the other part of this podcast.
After we get through
spoiler.
My name is Troy.
Is it?
And I have a real hot take. I actually wanted to do this one last episode, but it's actually going to work better for this one. In visual media, such as anime, movies, television, whatever, storytelling-wise, thematically, there is no difference between a dance sequence and a fight sequence.
Thematically, maybe.
Yes.
Satisfactorily?
That determines that's completely subjective.
Yes, it is. And I'll stand by it.
You know what's hilarious? Like, I know you and Jason, I think you're kind of in his camp here, right? Don't want to watch a lot of dances. My mother always complains about fight scenes, but then loves dance stuff. And I've said this to her too.
Mhm.
Mom, you know what, this is the same thing, right? It's just showing emotion and choreography. It's all just, another form of expression. I don't like the punching. Dancing's cool. All right. Can't win with anybody. It's the same thing.
That Venn diagram just doesn't exist.
I'm holding it together like Spider-Man trying to keep the bridge from falling apart. All right. All right, we introduced the hosts. We did a little preamble.
We're not out of
We,
practice.
we've done this before, have we?
It's only been 2 weeks. Non-spoiler reviews for this half of ReZero. Jason, this is your pick. I'm gonna let you go first, but honestly, I want to hear what the other guy has to say because he was the one who was all wishy-washy last time. But Jason, it's yours. You get to go.
Okay.
Hurry up!
I don't know how to not be so biased. Man, it's just so good. Go watch it. The payoffs are so great. And the stories within stories, like the way they weave. So like with animes like Bleach, you'll get like 2 or 3 sword swings into a fight, and then something like, then it will be like a slow motion clang, and then it will like fade to the new character we just met and like 3 episodes of their backstory, and then it will come back to the fight. This anime just knows how to weave stories and make you, the cast is enormous and you care about nearly every single character. And then everything they set up in the first half that we discussed last week or 2 weeks ago, all paid off with flying colors and a bunch of stuff I didn't expect. So, yeah, I go watch it.
I'll
All
agree
right,
with
Jeremy.
that. Go watch it. I really liked it. I thought it was great. I thought that it is like top tier as far as like anime in general goes. It had a lot of payoffs, but it did not satisfy me the way that I'm used to being satisfied by ReZero. So
That sounds gross, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
That's
no.
I feel icky at this point.
I don't know how else to put it without spoiling anything. So
All right. I loved it. This is the only thing that's keeping this from fighting head to head with Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for top anime of all time in my book is that this hasn't finished. It needs to come to a conclusion and stick the landing. I think FMA Brotherhood, that's why it's number 1. It's like 4 or 5 seasons long, and then it sticks its landing and it nails it perfectly. It was thematic, it was emotional, it tied all these characters together, all these storylines. It was great. I love Fullmetal Alchemist. ReZero's doing everything right. I just need to see it end, and then I can finally decide which one was better. So that's how much I like it. I
was gonna say I didn't know Full Metal Alchemist was number 1. I thought
In-
it
in-
got dethroned by some no-name usurper.
okay.
No, I thought it was Speed Racer.
Speed Racer.
for the non-visual watchers, my face is very confused. Man, you don't.
You always talk about how great that anime is.
That movie,
So
the
good.
movie Speed Racer. We're talking about anime.
Right.
Speed Racer, the movie, is one of my favorites. The Speed Racer, the anime, is like 70 years old at this point. Which, thanks for bringing it up. And we're not talking about that. Can I just make my point?
I guess.
On my anime list, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood every once in a while gets dethroned by some new hotness.
Mm,
And
exactly what I call it.
and not because Fullmetal Alchemist is bad. It's just because it hasn't had time to gather enough votes. Because it's really just where's the average score. But Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood has been reviewed for, oh god, I'm old, long time now, and these new anime, they haven't even finished, and people like watch the first episode, and everyone goes and gives it a 10, but they don't even know if the season ends in a way they like. And I've seen stuff like, I don't think Wonder Egg Priority did it, but there have been anime that start really strong, and then people kind of fizzled on the second half of the anime, and the score drops, and then FMA Brotherhood takes its top. But I was talking about my top one. Personally.
Yeah, I just, I'm just poking at Frieren. it's my
That was a good one.
Frieren has
no-name
potential
usurper.
to get into the fight, but it has a long way to go and a lot of miles to cover. Doesn't matter. Look at ReZero Season 3, Part 2. I have some tiny nitpicks. One, in just some of the storytelling structure they use for the fights. Like, it'll be like, hey, here's this fight, just to remind you what's going on, but we're not actually gonna focus on it. And I kind of wish they had just focused on one fight at a time, with maybe like, hey, just remember, this is where this character is, this is where this character is. Okay, now we're doing this fight. All right, here's a quick reminder again. Here's this fight.
Jason is
I'll get-
unimpressed with your.
I have specific examples for spoiler section. And the other thing is, this anime is playing cards incredibly close to the vest. There are huge mysteries that it doesn't want us to know the answer to, and sometimes doesn't even tell you there's a question. Only once you start pulling on threads and you're like, wait, how did that person do that thing? And then it doesn't give any hints, it doesn't give any answers. Now the answer exists, and it does give the world kind of a feel of like, it's not just Subaru's world. This is not just his story. This world keeps running whether we're watching it or not. That's cool. But there's also some frustration of like, should I know this? Should I have gotten a hint that this can happen? The biggest thing is, I feel like 2 seasons from now, I'm going to come back. If I come back and rewatch this season, a lot of stuff I saw will have new context and flesh out this season. But right now, it's just a bunch of question marks.
2 seasons from now, it's like 2030, 2032.
I'm just saying, further down the road, the answers will come in the story. I don't doubt that. But because it presents everything so mysterious now, I don't really know. I just don't have anything to judge it by. It's just,
Season will be like 6 episodes long.
Yes. I hope each episode is an hour and a half. Then I'd be okay with it.
Thank you for giving me my time. You guys are awesome. Opening and closing didn't change. Any new thoughts on it?
No, they were awesome. I liked them.
The opening won me over more. Every time I heard it, I liked it more. And that kind of happens with all the ReZero seasons. They keep winning me over. All I want to say is, honestly, as a watcher, or as a podcast, this probably should have been just one episode. This is really a setup and payoff of one season. But ReZero is the kind of anime that says, we're not here to fit your rules, man. We got to tell the story and the pacing and the episode count. And we sometimes don't have time for opening credits scenes. We're just going. We got a story to tell. And that's good. That's better. Who cares if the podcast fits it perfectly? But that's all to say, this podcast doesn't fit it perfectly. We're literally judging half a show right now, even more so than others. All right. Spoiler warning. But before the spoiler warning, because it says here in my show notes, don't get a spoiler warning until you've told them what we're watching next. And what we're watching next
is
Zenshuu.
Yes.
Jeremy's pick. It is a isekai.
Forgive me, I didn't see a ton of options that are from this recent season. But this one looks really interesting.
Yeah, at least it isn't, hey, this otaku geek guy who lives in his basement got hit by Truck-kun and now has all the powers.
Exactly.
It's about an animator who's struggling, ends up in her favorite childhood movie, which
is a tragedy.
Genre listed it as action, and I'm really wondering how they tie all that together. So that would be cool.
I also love the character design because she's like basically a teenage girl, or I don't know, maybe she's in her 20s, and she's wearing a hoodie, and her face is just hair. There's nothing but hair coming out of the hoodie. So good
So,
personality there.
so yeah, Zenshuu. That's what we're watching next. All right, we are now. Spoiler warning. We're spoiling stuff. Lots of spoilers coming up of ReZero season 3. But let's start off with some character to talk. We need to get to our boy, but he's not who we start with. We start with a little fan service scene as Priscilla gets ready for battle by switching from her busty red dress to her other busty red dress in front of who I hope is
Songstress.
an adult woman.
She's not. She's like 14.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Well, even so, I mean, it was a changing scene, right?
Well, no, she kisses her later. I think that's
Yeah, there's
yeah.
there's clearly some
Yeah,
Well,
okay.
maybe not.
chemistry.
Maybe she's 22 because it says it depends on which arc. That's arc 5 plus. I don't know which arc this is, but I could have sworn I read somewhere that she was 14.
Well, let's just hope it's not creepy.
Yeah. No,
any
she can't
thought-
be because she ran away at 13. So that nope. I must be misremembering.
Yeah, she's got to be older then.
Mm-hmm.
Your guys' thoughts on Priscilla and Liliana for this half of the story.
Still
They
not
have
a
a big moment.
still not a big fan of Liliana. But man, did Priscilla get fleshed out here. Also,
Bada boom.
Just shipped on. Boom.
see what she's there. Yeah, man, did we end on the last on the wrong episode last week?
Could have gone out with a bang.
Right. Yeah, I coming to find out that all of the princess candidates are like battle hardened, like ready to just take on some of the more powerful villains in this world. Surprised me. And it was neat that Priscilla was one of them. And I love that she's just got this flame sword she could pull out of her dimensional pocket and just kick butt with it. And also, it's funny. She, we get a lot of characters that like they have this persona of I'm the most important, I'm the most special, and you are all beneath me. But then in reality, they have a soft heart and they're just putting on a front. Priscilla's so much more complicated than that. And at first, it just seemed like, oh, she's just a jerk. But she is a jerk. But she also has like this twisted sense of duty. And so I just kind of like how complicated the character is. So
yeah. For me, Liliana was not as much fun as she was in the first half. In fact, by the time the season was over, every time she showed on the screen, I was just so annoyed when she'd open her mouth. And I think it was just that exuberance. It was just too much constant. I know at some point Priscilla actually said, there's a difference between a simpleton and a fool. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So there's something wrong with Liliana. She is a simpleton. Okay. And so it made a little more sense. But man, she was really difficult to stand, which is funny because I liked her in the first half. I thought she was funny and entertaining. I did like her backstory. I liked the way it was presented, especially as kind of something to watch and think about as she started with her music, because I was sitting there thinking, oh no, don't make me like sit here and watch Liliana strum her lute up there and start singing again. No, don't, please don't. And it gave me something to think about, and the fact that there wasn't a whole lot of talking for most of it because you were just listening to her play her melody as you would see the backstory. That was really cool. That was well done. I also thought it was a pretty epic scene that she was standing on the castle as it's like falling over, and she's still playing her lute and singing her song. So she was annoying, but she had some epic moments. And Priscilla's great. I love how it revealed one of her abilities was to like, hey, if I think something's valuable, then I'm going to take damage. It's going to go into that thing. I love that ability. That's so cool. But it also means that at some point somebody is probably going to die when Priscilla gets injured, and it might be Liliana. It could be someone else.
I kept thinking back to the scene of like the whole world will belong to me, and I'm like, wait, is that why she wants to become queen? Because then she'll be invincible because everything will be hers and take damage for her.
Yeah. That's a
Dang.
very good point. Yes. Yeah. I didn't even go that far with it, but I could totally see it. I thought it was crazy that she could actually go toe to toe with Wrath. I know that she couldn't beat her without Liliana's help, but still, that was way more than I thought she was capable of.
Yeah, I just like how they presented her as complex. I think there's still a lot of layers to unravel. She could end up being a huge villain. She could end up being the best candidate for queen. I could see it going either way at this point, and I'm excited to watch that journey and that she's not just a one note character. In fact, one of the things ReZero does great is there's very rarely one note characters, except for the songstress, who again, it's just not a. It's an anime trope I'm not a huge fan of oh my god, we got a J-pop singer to come in and do the voice of this character. We gotta give her a song in the middle of this scene, and whatever. I did like her, resolve to keep doing her job even as she's crumbling her down to her death. And I guess there's a cool love thing happening between her and the one council member, but it was all off screen and we were told about it, so she's probably the weakest element of the whole season.
I agree.
Nice. All right, we catch up with our other characters who we'll be talking about soon. Otto, he comes across Felt and a bunch of guards who are being attacked by Gluttony. We see Wilhelm and Garfield. They confront Lust, who's being guarded by the two robed figures from last time. Priscilla, I can't read my own note.
You got this.
Oh, no, this is important. This is important. Priscilla reveals someone has already murdered the council and it wasn't the villains. Somebody took them out so that they couldn't reveal the secret information they know about the witch's bones. And then we catch up to what is our main story for these first couple episodes, which is Subaru and Reinhard fighting against Regulus, who has captured Amelia. We need to talk about all four of these characters. We're going to start with our main guy, Subaru. Your guys' thoughts on him in this half?
I'm liking how he's just kind of starting to build this confidence of his role. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have amazing sword technique. He can't fly, but he can manipulate. And I'm loving the fact that he's also becoming the strategist of the group. And because of that, he's really starting to grow into this leadership role that I don't think he wanted and didn't think he was qualified for. And that tends to make the best leaders. And the fact that he's, even through pain and danger and emotional distress, he's still, because he's experienced death so many times, he's still able to keep semblance of a cool head. Not necessarily all the way, but enough to go, this logical thing matches with this logical thing. Does this mean this? And then, hey, let's test it. I haven't rooted for a main protagonist like this in a while, and it was neat to not have it be some sort of MacGuffin or some sort of Deus Ex Machina that made him succeed at all the time. It was, he failed and failed and failed and lost limbs and failed until he came across the right answer, and then things started to go into place. It felt earned, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, probably I'm really loving the evolution of Subaru.
I thought he was pretty great. I liked how he handled Regulus. I think one of my favorite moments with him was when Reinhardt tried to draw his sword, couldn't draw it, and was like, "Oh, I guess that means you're not worthy." So you see Subaru in the background is like buckled over laughing. So good. So yeah, he had some great moments and everything. This was really interesting because this half of the season was not really about Subaru. Like uh he had his fight, he had his thing he did. But then when the camera went to the other characters, it stayed on them and it was about their story and their success or failure. Um and that's different. ReZero typically hasn't done that very much because he's been the linchpin of solving how to keep them all alive. So part of me is like, hey, that's pretty neat. It's something different, and I certainly didn't expect it. I mean, I did because we talked about it, but it breaks with the pattern. But then the other part of me was like, this isn't what I expect from ReZero. I expect Subaru to have to do problem solving through death, and that hence the title, Return from Zero. Um, and so that really kind of bugged me about his character, is that he wasn't solving problems. This became sort of like a group battle anime. Like you could take it and you could put this half of the season in Jujutsu Kaisen or Demon Slayer, or you could put it in any other anime and be like, this is how it works. Do the characters survive their combats? Yeah, they probably do. Maybe one of them is a casualty, probably not a complete casualty because the story has to go on. And so for me, it kind of loses its ReZero flavor because Subaru doesn't get to do what Subaru does. Um, so for that, I think it's not as great for me. Another thing, minor nitpick about him, and it's just because this flashed through my mind as he was describing it, but the way he figured out Regulus's ability, I kept thinking, man, I don't know the constellations that well. Did we ever get a hint that this was information that he studied and remembered? Like maybe this is really common Japanese school book, education process. Like it's instilled in them and they remember it. I know I remembered some of the constellations when I was a teenager, but I don't think I could have recognized all of them in their Latin names and known what they meant and everything, like Little King and all of that. So for me, when he did that, I was like, he's like, yeah, they're all the different constellations. And then this constellation actually means this, which means that, which means time. And I'm like, well, how did you put that together? Like that relies on a lot of foundational knowledge and conclusions. Like your cleverness is beyond what I would have expected from you. So minor nitpick there.
Minor
Yeah,
nitpick
I
of your
think
minor nitpick of your nitpick. It's starting life in another world, not return by death.
Well, ReZero, that's what
he
ReZero
said
stands for.
he
It's
said
return
return.
from zero. Return by death.
But
No.
on Jason's side, I would say that zero does not mean death. It's from his original status of feeling
You're
empty.
absolutely wrong. It's openly stated. That's what ReZero means, is return from zero. Return from his death. Return by death. Yeah.
Wait, what? Where is it openly stated that the zero in the title means
I remember doing a ton of
specifically
research
death?
on this. I remember doing a ton of research on this, and that return by death and returning because he died, he names it after that, return by death, and that
Right.
was tied to re:0 every time he starts over from zero.
Right,
That's what they said.
but in the episode where Rem confesses her love for him,
Mm.
that episode showed this is the starting point of zero. It's used zero in multiple contexts throughout the series.
Oh
So it
yeah,
doesn't
no. I
have
don't
to be
mean
the
it.
one thing.
No. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's I mean garbage.
Hey, Troy, you got some extra work to do.
Get those noise sound effects out. Yay! They're fun. They only last like a half a second. I have to pile them all together, and I'm sure the audience loves hearing like dogs screeching and tires. Awesome.
Sorry, I just called it like I saw it.
Yeah. All right. Are you done? Is it my turn? We going
Yeah,
forward?
go for it.
Okay. Still very much enjoying what they're doing with Subaru. I absolutely love that he is not responsible for. I mean, he helps, but he's not the one who kills anybody. Like you said, he is not the hero of this story. He is the protagonist, our main character, but he is not the Goku.
Mm.
Honestly, guys, he's the Tien or the Krillin or the Krillin's probably the better thing because Krillin can still help a little bit.
He's Yamcha.
He can bring the sensu beans to people. Because really, the biggest thing that Subaru does is use a power he has to save Amelia, but he's not the one who defeats anybody, even though he helps facilitate the defeating of a bad guy. And I love that because to me, ReZero is the antithesis to your isekai or power fantasies and things like that or being Goku of, hey, what if I was just awesome and then my life was better? And ReZero rejects that completely, and to the point where it's showing that the most powerful character in this series has some of the most messed up relationships and life so far. We'll get to him in a moment. I love the ice skating the Subaru did. And on the topic of Return by Death, I love that both Subaru and the writers are outgrowing that as a crutch. They are moving away from it. It's still there. It still can be used for storytelling purposes, but Subaru has grown to the point where he's like, I don't have to like take my head off every time I want to try to go for a better outcome. I've grown a community of friends, of trust, and I love what they're doing. But
Actually,
Return by Death is still in this series. You just missed it.
I actually really like it as well because the consequences are absolutely tragic. Like,
Right.
you know, in the first couple seasons, the majority of the time we had just about, he's like, I'm going to save everyone. By the end of this, that's not only is that not true, but Cruce is still like, she's in a bad state.
The entire point
like he can touch her and absorb the rest of the dragon blood.
Go ahead, Troy. It's your turn.
I don't know if he can. I looked at a couple episode discussions on Reddit where people are really good to cover up like manga spoilers. They were discussing what they saw, but I did see someone mention like it's because he's already cursed that this curse is not able to. It's basically like two diseases in you that are fighting for control, and so they balance each other out. I think if he went too far, one curse would win, but I don't know. Again, that's also another thing. Like, why is the Dragon Blood doing this to Subaru? We need to know more. I think in 2 seasons ish, we'll get an answer, and then I'll come back and see this and be like, "Oh, that makes total sense. That's so well done." But I don't know if it is right now. It could also just be stupid.
I think it's just because he was stopped by someone else right now. Like he would have just absorbed the rest of it. He was going to.
But would it have killed him?
I don't think it would have. I mean, the witch's curse is gonna. If it did kill him, he would have just reset, guaranteed.
The entire point of the last season was that he's got to quit relying on the reset. Like, because Rem got eaten by gluttony, and then he tried resetting a bunch of times, and because he can't use the save point, it didn't fix anything. To the point where he gets to the finale and goes and says, I had to do this once without a reset, and the only way I can do that is by trusting in my friends. And now we see him taking the lesson learned from that season and applying it here, and you're like, boo.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in how the puzzle is solved. I want to know. So, what is interesting to me about the concept of ReZero
is the time loop.
Is the time loop. And seeing what happens in each scenario and how you solve it. How do you eventually min-max to get all the achievements? That to me is interesting.
I don't think you can just keep doing that over and over again, season after season, and keep it interesting. I think you have to grow the story beyond it, and I think the writers have.
They better still use it somewhere.
Well, they did, and you just missed it. That's all.
Well, I didn't miss it. If you're talking about Al,
I am.
Yeah, I didn't miss it. They just didn't show us anything.
We just saw it from everyone else's point of view.
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome. Like, we aren't inside of it.
I'm not convinced that he's Subaru. I'm not convinced that it's the same curse. I like that idea, but he didn't even seem sure how many times he died, and he was able to openly talk about it, which doesn't seem like a Subaru thing.
Yeah, but I, okay, we'll get to Al. We'll get to Al in that scene,
Okay.
and then we can crack that open. We need to talk about really quick, Amelia.
I'm so frustrated because she's just so gosh dang good.
She's the best.
She's so good. She's grown so much as a person. Her power set is so cool. She's becoming more imaginative with her power set. And she's relying on Subaru and learning from his problem solving that she's starting to absorb some of that problem solving logistics. And I liked her. I think it's just because Rem wasn't there, but you know, she was great.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, like Rem.
Hey, they plumped
Never
her up.
stop sleeping.
Wow, that is a low blow.
You know, now that Rem's gone, they had to. She's fine. She's just more Amelia. It's just the same thing as the first half. She has given me a new appreciation for frost mages. I love the creativity of it and how she can just cause any weapon to come into existence. That doesn't mean she knows how to wield the weapon, but you know, she does okay. She does pretty good. That's pretty neat.
Like I was a fan of her from the start. Always been in the Amelia camp, and the biggest thing that I think Jason touched on is the growth of the character. It has been awesome to watch,
mentioned
right
that.
along with Subaru. And it's and there's that feels like a weird choice to me, but whatever. A year passed,
Growth.
things happen. They're eating well at Roswell Mansion.
I love it. Yeah.
But no, her monologues to the villains and to the wives, they ring true. They hit. Her stuff lands. I like it. I like what they're doing with Amelia, except for the one thing they did, which they definitely did. The growth.
Oh, right. Her.
Like, oh, okay. So you're gonna sell more. You want to sell more figurines?
100%. The speech to the wives, which we'll get to. That's kind of what I'm talking about. How Subaru's kind of influencing her, because that speech was nearly a like early Subaru trying to not manipulate but convince folks to do something. And yeah,
but I love the calling out.
It was amazing.
Regulus to his face when they're doing the ice skate battle. I love the way she just dressed him down. It was so good. All right, Reinhard. Oh, Reinhard.
So when we first meet him in like literally the first or second episode of season 1, he just seems like this overpowered dude that overpowered transient that just kind of rolls into town and murders the bad guy and then like takes off. And then ReZero does what ReZero does. Not only do they make you care about him and his family, but they give him this deep lore and like tragic backstory, and how his power set is it's so tragic. And it's nearly a curse for this family. Really enjoyed Reinhardt and like his the great character.
I loved Reinhardt. I thought he was great in this. I loved every time that he sees a bad guy and he's like, yeah, I guess you're not worthy. And he's not taunting them. Like, he's not even taunting them. He is so almost like a neutral, lawful good. I don't even know what to describe him as. Like, he's so to the point, doesn't really care about what you think. Not because he's mean, just because it doesn't really matter to him. He's just trying to cut to the truth of things.
He's duty bound.
He's dealing with. Yeah, in every aspect of his life, in every
Yeah.
conversation, and he never really breaks it. And it's absolutely fascinating as a character to watch that. I find him really fun. It cracked me up when his solution to get back after he was thrown in the air was to kick off the moon, and he left a crater. Like, this is just nuts.
That
His
was a little that's One Punch Man level right there, and
Yes.
I'm like, oh, okay, we went that far. Okay,
Yeah. This guy is so incredibly overpowered. I have no idea where his power ends, right? Because I mean, if he doesn't want to, he can allow himself to die, but even then he just gets resurrected. Which is not pleasant, but happens, I guess. Yeah, I thought he was great. He does what needs to be done when it needs to be done.
I loved what they did with the character. I have this feeling that Reinhardt is breaking inside. He's this overpowered. I can beat anybody, but I think it's costing him. And I think as he watches Subaru grow and build this stable of friends, something inside Reinhardt is starting to break. And I kept it was a scene after his grandfather basically is like, get out of my sight. I can't with you anymore. Go be the hero you're supposed to be. And then he shows up and kills all those demi beasts. There's just this look on his face of like, he acts like the thing I just did, which we'll talk about, doesn't haunt me. And then we see him and he looks so haunted in that scene. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I feel like he's future villain material, but it's fascinating. I love every scene with Reinhard just because he's that lawful good, like you said, duty bound, but it's breaking him on the inside. I think that's my interpretation, and I could be wrong.
I totally yeah. Those scenes, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, especially with his dad and how his dad kept saying, "You killed your grandma." He's like, "I
Right.
don't know what you said. I don't know what
That
you mean. I don't even understand it." That's
that
gotta be a
whole
blatant lie.
yeah, that whole scene is, oh look, undead monster that has my grandma's face. I'll just kill it.
Mm-hmm.
But think about how Subaru would have handled that scene. Like it would have freaked him out. Like, yeah, he would have been like, hey, maybe we can save her. Maybe we capture her and figure out how to bring her back. But Reinhardt is just, no, justice is killing this thing. So we kill. And I don't, and he's so unfazed by it that Wilhelm changes back his mind to, I'm done with my grandson. That's fascinating story choice, and I'm so
And
interested
heartbreaking.
in where it's gonna go. Yes, and also
I'm not convinced that he was done with his grandson completely. It could have just been that he was done with that conversation. At least from the sub, I couldn't tell if it was.
I subbed as well. And like I said, I think I'm reading stuff into stuff, but there's the whole. I've been thinking about that Wilhelm fight. Let's talk about the Wilhelm fight at the Wilhelm fight, because I've been thinking about it a lot of what Wilhelm's intentions actually were. But we'll see. Last one, the one I've been waiting for the most, Regulus, Greed himself. What do you guys think?
We're talking about greed. Okay.
Not gluttony. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What his power set is so insidious. I love it. And he's just this full of himself dude that is like, haha, I have the secret power that you don't know what it is, and I can do literally whatever I want. And it takes it to it kind of takes it to the extreme of, if I can do anything that I want, what is it that I would do? And he's like, oh, I'll just collect a ton of extra lives. It's like, and he turned out to be such a great villain. And his overconfidence, even when he found out that his crutch was basically gone, he still was in this state of, I am better than all of you. And man, was his defeat so earned. So good.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with me, but every time one of these archbishops of sin comes on the screen, it doesn't take long, and I just love these characters. They are so fascinating to watch, and I'm completely absorbed by how insane they are. And his approach to it is so different from the others, and yet equally insane, because he allows this um I don't even know like what you would call it. It's a lack of confidence and ego at the same time to just completely take control of him. Um, and with those powers, it just becomes insane. Um, I didn't remember that he was from Amelia's past until
Yeah.
the scene where Amelia's like, I remember him. And then I
Oh,
was like,
same
wait a
here.
minute. Yeah. Wait a minute. And I had to go look up. I was like, wait a minute. Why did he know? Oh, that's right. And it just completely changed my perception of that whole thing. I started remembering all of that history. And yeah, this guy was great. Some of the best comedy was in the initial fight between him and Reinhard, and how Reinhard is just kicking him around. So good. Yeah, loved it.
I have to be careful here because I don't want to be insulting.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, okay. So I'm gonna. What I love about Regulus is what I interpret that the writer is trying to say about overpowered characters. And I know a lot of people love overpowered characters, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad thing to be like, man, it would be really cool if I could just be invincible and nothing could touch me. Regulus comes with this whole I am the main character of everything personality with this overpoweredness and an entitlement to everything. He even says, I am the perfect character. I'm better than you. I am fully resolved. I am what I am what's going down. I have infinite lives. All the women that I want belong to me. Yada yada yada. And then we have Subaru, a main character who, after a year of training, can now just not die as often as he used to.
Yeah.
Right, and he doesn't even beat one of the bad guys. Like I said, he's very instrumental. It's not that he's worthless or anything like that. And then watching Regulus devolve as he is beaten, as his power is stripped away, it feels like they're saying that power fantasy. When that power fantasy is for yourself, I want to feel this strong and powerful and important. I'm looking at you, solo leveling mostly. Oh, I got ultimate power, and now I'm tall and sexy, and everybody likes me, and I can beat up all the bullies. But it takes Regulus and shows off the dark reflection of that, kind of like an evil Superman Homelander kind of thing. Like
Mhm.
what twisting it on its head and saying what is wrong with this when it's driven by greed and it's for you. And I love at the end of his story, his name can barely be seen, and Amelia cannot remember him. Now, there's sort of reasons she can't, but it also is saying because everything he did was just for himself, all that power, all those wives, he just doesn't matter. His name can't hardly even be seen on the screen anymore. Didn't matter.
What do you mean his name can't be seen?
After he dies, the screen flashes white, but just a little bit. You can see some lettering. I looked up what that lettering is. It's his name. It's Regulus, but you can't see. You can't. You just see like a little bit of the shadow of the letters behind it. He doesn't. He faded from existence. He just doesn't matter to anyone because he only lived for himself. And again, that is my interpretation of what I think they're saying based on my own subjective opinions of power fantasy. Take all that with a grain of salt. But
I like it.
what I found
Yeah.
extremely entertaining, especially as a foil to Subaru, who again is the polar opposite of what the normal isekai main character gets to be. And and it brought me back to that season 1 fight with Amelia, where he just kind of has this entitlement to Amelia. I'm the main character. I'm here to save you, and she's like, "Get out! I'm done with you." And he had to go reset himself, change his point of view. Regulus is that feeling taken to 11 and given ultimate power, and now Subaru has had to help defeat it. Thematic storytelling. That's why ReZero is one of the best. It's not just it is a really cool, awesome bad guy with a really cool, awesome superpower that's hard to beat and is well written, but it also ties back into our main character's own journey, what the story has been trying to do. That's why I love this series.
I mean, in Solo Leveling, he did have to level.
He did.
He had to churn through monsters to get powerful.
And he's doing it for his sister. He's not selfish. It's for his sister.
That's a completely platonic relationship.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. He's so hot, even his sister can't resist. Oh, one of the most popular anime of the year. So awesome. It's a personal gripe of mine, okay, guys? It just is.
Solo leveling or sister stuff?
Can I say both?
Okay, this is
feels good.
Man, this went off a cliff.
Right.
I've made my in solo leveling, our solo leveling episode, I made my complaint about OP power levels, so I've said my piece.
Feels like we're stuck in the dryer. Oh wait.
That was a really good joke, and I hate you for it. All right, yeah, okay. The story stuff happens. So yeah, greed, Amelia, wedding. He's upset. Door got kicked open. He went sent flying. He's all mad. Reinhardt's like, "Oh, I can't even pull my sword. Whew, you're not that good." Amelia freezes greed, but he breaks right out and starts strangling her. And he strikes a deal with Reinhardt that he gets one free shot at Reinhardt, and then he will let Amelia go. And he takes the one free shot and insta kills him. Reinhardt has protection of the Phoenix. It's like a auto Phoenix down, and he gets to jump back up and whoops on greed some more. Then we jump over to Gluttony, and Gluttony tells Otto that he's trying to find Subaru. We find out later that's because he's going off of Rem's memories and how she views Subaru, and so now he's all excited to see Subaru. Because Gluttony eats memories. If he knows your name, he eats you. Kind of. Not physically, though.
Like your soul or yeah, I don't know.
Based on how it ends this season, I don't even fully understand what the heck Gluttony does.
Otto summons water dragon serpents who help him.
He clicks his heels 3 times and water dragons come out of nowhere.
Well, okay, we know Otto can summon animals. Yeah, that's his thing. Right. Speaking of your guys, Otto gets he gets his own big fight here, and this is a character back in when he was first introduced. I'm like, oh, this guy's like a 3 episode max, and then he's gone, right? And he's still around and a very helpful part of the team. So your guys' thoughts on Otto?
I thought the fight was good. He didn't seem to have much growth as far as overarching story, but I think what I was hoping for from Otto was that we were going to get more on the book he was recreating. And we didn't end up getting any information on that, or if that got scrapped.
Oh, I think it survived, right? Or it got fixed because Lust got it later. So it must have.
That wasn't hers?
That was her copy.
Yeah, I thought that was her copy.
Oh, that was her own?
Yeah, because every archbishop has their own copy.
Otto has the prototype that Roswell had.
Why did she seem so satisfied? Like she was like, "Oh yeah, I got it." If it was just her copy, I would have thought she That would
No,
be a
she
thing to do
that
properly.
conversation she was talking about how she was doing what
Right.
what the book was telling her to do. That's why
Is
she was
it
so satisfied
is
with
it
it.
Roswell's copy or Beetlejuice's
Beetlejuice?
copy that burned? Because I thought he was restoring it because it was burned.
Well, one of them got burned when Rem and Ram were children, I thought.
Oh, okay. See, it's hard.
Hmm.
All right, we're gonna move forward. Oh yeah. Then Julius goes off and faces gluttony. Are you confused? It's a different gluttony. There's more than one.
There's
I'm
more than
confused.
two.
I don't know what's going on with gluttony. I don't understand anything about gluttony.
Yeah.
Jeremy was right. Like I feel way more confused about gluttony than I ever did. Again, I'm sure the answers exist and they're very satisfying. But right now, I just like, okay, sure. I guess that's how that works. This is Roy Gluttony, who I'll be referring to as Roy Gluttony from now on. And I when I had my little nitpick and Jason got upset, this was my biggest nitpick is they show Julius attacking him and then later they re-show it because it's been so long
Yeah.
since we came to Julius's fight. They had to replay this scene right here. And I'm like, you could have just waited. That would have been fine. I get the point was to show there was two gluttonies. They it's fine. All right.
Let's move on.
Greed's back. Reinhard starts fighting him, and he's like, Subaru, you got to figure out how we kill him. And then Garfield gets crushed by a giant egg. Lust had an egg on the wall, and it fell down right at that moment and landed on him, interrupting his fight.
Because we
And
thought
then-
it was Lust to begin with, because it kind of looked like her in the middle of this huge mass.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
not. It was a fake out.
Yeah.
She's actually snuck in to Crushes. What's her name?
Cruchet.
Cruchet.
That's how they pronounce
You
it in the
guys
dub.
can't agree.
Yeah,
Cruchet's.
I remember it, but okay.
The problem is I know I read it and probably didn't pay much attention to their pronunciation because they're speaking in Japanese. Yeah, but this is all a trap because it's not actually Crush, it's Anastasia in a wig.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
She cast magic for some
who
reason.
casts magic, and she's not supposed to be able to. And everyone's like, "Hey, let's talk about that." And she's like, "Let's not." And everyone's like, "Okay."
Right. That was another little nitpick of mine. That's not
Yep.
actually a nitpick. I like it because I'm really curious. My only nitpick is why did they not pick that back up and talk about it after the fight?
Otto already told us. Merchants always have multiple plan Bs.
I thought that might be the
They
case,
have their
but
secrets.
that seems like
Yeah.
an awfully big one to conceal so successfully. Like I can also cast magical spells as a princess candidate or whatever.
This is another. I'm sure there's an answer, and I'm sure when I come back and rewatch this scene, it'll be like, "Oh yeah, that makes complete sense," and I'm down with that decision. But right now, I just
2032.
don't know. Yeah. Which the problem is, I'm also not going to remember this scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna have
If
to
it
start
wasn't
over
for-
when season 4 comes out. Just gonna have to start from
Yeah.
season 1.
If it wasn't
Yep.
for the podcast, I'd probably just wiki dive, spoil everything, so that I can
Yeah.
enjoy the actual storytelling and just focus on. Oh, okay, that makes sense. But I don't want to do that because I want to give fair impression as I watch this along with everybody. So anyway, the trap sends Lust down into the basement where Al is waiting for her, and they start fighting. Back to Reinhard. He's beating up Greed, but then he gets knocked away after Amelia joins the fight. And then, look, Greed picks up water, basically because he just freezes it, and then he can pick up giant stacks of water and then send it down as ice, not ice, water needles.
That's what it seemed like. Yeah.
It's a really weird power.
Uh-huh.
It has to do with time. Because he doesn't actually have like super strength or anything. It's just the manipulation of his body freezing process.
If
apparently.
that's the case, then none of that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that's correct. That is accurate. because he doesn't have any powers after they take away the one power he has.
Well, and he does still like. Well, you're right. Yeah, because he can't take the kicks and he starts taking damage. But that's because he can't stay frozen long enough to withstand it. But that means that
I don't even think he has like
freezing
super
his
strength
body-
or anything.
It's all time manipulation.
It reminds me of the Zelda game where you freeze an object and then you hit it a bunch and then you unfreeze it and it goes flying.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But that's not exactly what he's doing because he's the one who's frozen.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Very confused by his power.
Still cool though. And then downhill ice skating. And Subaru's like, yeah, no, I got this. This is like one of the things I'm good at. And I love this sequence. I love the teamwork, the holding hands, and then letting her go fight while he skates ahead, and then him seeing the dead end, using his whip, and them teaming up. Like the way they work together now as a combo in a fight is so cool. And then sending Greed into a dead end to get crushed.
It was so Acme. It was so great.
Yeah, it was.
This is okay. I got what the kids call glaze this scene. Subaru tells Emilia, after this is over, you got to let me princess carry you again. And her face, in just like 2 or 3 frames, it's so brief, but the animators show her shock, slight smile, and then embarrassment, you're a baka. It's so good. It's so well animated. It's just a frame. It's just like that long. I watched it 3 times. There's so many emotions that flash across her face because she is a complex, deep character. When you have complex, deep characters, you can do this kind of stuff. Solo leveling.
Apparently, solo leveling's become the Kisniver to Troy.
Look,
Yeah.
there's many. There's slime. Some I like more than others, but you know. So solo leveling, because solo leveling's so popular, it grinds my gears. And look, Jeremy, for me, that's the fact that they're willing to take the time to show that couple seconds of emotion, to show the growth of their relationship to our audience without explicitly telling us, hey, by the way, this is how she feels about it now. I love it.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. I've definitely praised expressions on other characters in other anime before. They did a good job.
Yeah, they did. We're in agreement. Moving on.
Probably praiseworthy.
His heart grew 3 sizes that day.
No, it didn't. I refuse.
All right, so Reinhard returns. They keep trying different things like having Greed shoot himself. Because Reinhard's that strong, he can make anything he wants happen on the battlefield. And it shows that he's way outclassing Greed, but since Greed can't be hurt, it's just a matter of time before he gets an unlucky shot on Reinhard, which he does right after Subaru asks Amelia for advice or like, hey, what did anything he said, anything he did that would give me a hint? That's where we come to the name. Oh,
Little
this
King.
means this and this means this. And he freezes time. It is interesting that these characters are stars in our world, not in ReZero world. But Subaru has Reinhardt check that if he has a heartbeat, he does not, and then Reinhardt gets thrown into space.
Like how he came to that conclusion is insane. Like I don't understand how Subaru made that connection. Like Regulus constellation, Little King,
Lion. There's something about a lion too, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, so he must freeze time.
Lionheart. That's what it was. Lionheart. And then his heart's in someone else, and he freezes himself. I mean, I guess, but man, that's creative thinking. Holy crap! That's very impressive. I don't understand the justification for it, other than just Subaru's a very creative, clever boy.
We come back to Priscilla's fight. In her fight with Wrath, Wrath starts getting mad and uses fire, but then Priscilla's like, I also have fire that can overtake your fire, but only burns things I want it to burn. Subaru starts mocking Greed while Amelia slips away. And Priscilla gets hit by Wrath, and this is where we see Priscilla's power that anytime she takes damage, it goes to something that she loves, and a piece on her necklace breaks.
Something that she believes is valuable.
Right.
I don't know if she loves it.
And then Liliana. Liliana has to sing, and we see Liliana's life story.
Boring.
I was kind of annoyed by it because it's like, oh, woe is me. Ran away. Motherfucker taking care of you.
Little kid.
I understood she disagreed with him, but like maybe wait till you're 18 to then, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. Not, I can't take care of myself. And I get, she's a dumb kid who made a dumb choice, but it's not the tragic, oh my God, my parents died and then I was stuck on my own. It was like, I gave my parents the middle finger and I was out of there and then I starved. There's the consequences of your choices. It doesn't hit.
The weirdest part was when she's like in the town and she's got an armful of apples and she walks by her mom and dad and they're carrying a new baby, and so she puts a bag on her head, and I'm like, was that her parents? No way. She's got a new baby. They're moving on. And she's like, she should have been able to at least say, hey, hello. That's weird that she couldn't even say hello. I get that she didn't want them to know that she'd failed, or at least not been as successful as she thought she would be, but good grief.
And also, how do they not recognize her? They're carrying her guitar, and wearing the exact same clothes as what it
was
Let's
weird.
move on.
Liliana's a very weak spot. Subaru keeps running from Greed while Amelia has to go talk with the wives. And while talking with the wives, they reveal his heart is in one of them. It's in the one that we've talked to the most. But if she's like, oh, I'm gonna take my life. That'll be my sacrifice, because Amelia got everyone to admit they hate Greed. Greed's the worst, and they would rather die than see him be happy for another second. So she's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do this, but then it's gonna jump to another wife. So all the wives are like, I'll take care of this, and then Amelia's like, let's not do it that way, and she freezes everybody in cryostasis because she can do that. But that means she goes back to the fight, and now the heart's inside of her.
I love that it's not who his wife is, it's who he considers to be his wife.
Right.
I love that.
There's a great scene here, though, where he's mocking Subaru of like, oh, yeah, you beat Beetlejuice. He sucked. Yeah. He was like the worst of us. And then it's that guy's power that takes him down, because Subaru's like, oh, yeah, I can make a magic hand come out. And because Amelia's like, okay, I'm going to dagger the heart. He's like, no, I got this. He magic hands her and rips the heart and crushes it.
That was not a great sentence. Magic hander.
This episode is full of innuendo. What the hell?
He shadow grips her. Shadow hands her.
Sends her to the shadow realm.
No. Look, it's coming out of his navel. It's not even a great look. It is what it is.
When she's done, I mean, they animated her expression really well. She smiles. She's very happy.
Okay. Out of hand. Troy, take control.
You knock it off with the good puns. Okay. Not your job. And then Amelia proceeds to beat the living crap out of this guy with 53 punches to the face. They animated every single one of them. Well, that's not true. They cut away for a second, but you can still hear them punching. And I counted, and they are all 53.
And she did a fist of the North Star because she kept like. That's great.
Then Greed complains. Oh, he survives it because he still has the ability to freeze his heart, but that means his heart is not beating. Because he can freeze his body, that means his heart stops, which will kill him, so he can only do it for short periods of time. So he manages to survive the attack. And he's like, no, this is unfair. You guys are like 2v1ing me, man. That's not fair. This is not a fair fight. You should 1v1 me. Super's like,
1v1 me,
1v1?
bro.
You want a 1v1? And then Reinhardt shows up. Reinhardt's like, all right, 1v1. I accept. And he proceeds to beat the man into the sky. It's a great sequence of events. Not only because there's been a horrible, evil character who deserves his comeuppance, but he keeps freezing himself to survive. But he's like locking in the damage he's taken so far, so he's getting worse and worse. And he goes on this rant. And eventually it shows he's addressing it to his wives. But until then, it really feels like he's talking to the audience of like, you're laughing at me, aren't you? You're like looking down on me. Don't do that. I hate it. And again, it's a character who thought he was the best and the greatest and is devolved and shown that what he actually cared about is how everyone viewed him. A guy who walked around, said, I'm the best, better than all of you. And all that really mattered is that everybody saw him that way. And as soon as that's taken away, he devolves. He's then thrown into the ground and gets a Ijo. This is my hole. Guy who wrote Uzumaki. He goes really deep into the ground, but keeps freezing himself. So now he's basically a broken noodle laying there in the pit,
Stuck there.
And then the water splashes in, and that is the end of him.
Dude.
And then
that death scene is so brutal. I haven't seen a death scene that brutal in quite some time, and it wasn't even gory. It was just him drowning and trying to stop time to prevent himself from drowning.
The turning around, but doing it almost like a fluid because every bone in his body is broken. So he just kind of like shifts. So his head's pointing towards the sky again. Whew. That was rough.
I'm really curious how they're going to present Pride, because I would have given him the Pride sin. So it seems odd to me that greed is what he's labeled with. I mean, I can understand it, but it seems like a stretch compared to Pride, which just seems to fit him perfectly.
Well, I mean, you know, you look from Lust from, Alchemy Brotherhood, and then Lust from this one. Very different characters.
Yeah.
Visually.
Yeah. I believe it.
Garfield transforms. And then we get the Garfield fight in the next episode. So let's talk about Garfield before we talk about the actual fight. Your guys' thoughts on our little baby were tiger.
I like that he's not only building more confidence, but also like he wants to protect the people around him, but he becomes a bit more duty bound. Like he's not just doing it because he's protecting his friends. I am the shield. This is my job. This is who I am. And like, I like that he kind of grew into more of a professionalness about it, if you will. And also him fighting his, assassin demon that's always in his head. And, finally defeating that and facing it. I thought that was good.
I still don't understand his relationship with the assassin demon in his head. I don't
think
understand if.
so.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Troy. Then.
Garfield is suffering from PTSD from his first ever kill. He is suffering from the guilt of he murdered this woman, and he's like, oh, I'm a killer now. I didn't get that in the first half. It wasn't until the demi beast were rushing him, and she's like, oh, those are actually people you're about to kill. And then he's like, oh, no, I can't. And then his resolution in the fight is, I'm not a killer, I'm a protector. And if killing is what I have to do that, then that's what I'll do.
Oh, what a great message for, good guys in anime stories.
But then the Reinhardt story kind of takes a whole different approach to that, which is very interesting. I thought it was a really good two sides of the coin way to look at it. But yeah.
When he stomped greed into the ground, yeah.
No.
When he killed his grandma.
His grandma.
Yeah, I know that's what you're referring to. I'm just saying.
Okay, cool. Anyway, again, that's my
Perfectly fine.
interpretation. But again, when he sees the beast, he's like, "Oh no, I don't want to kill. I don't want to kill." And that's when she's taunting him, and it shows her head exploding as the chandelier landed on her right at that moment. And then again, because I was worried, like, oh, is he's just stronger now because he's being cheered? But that wasn't it. It was, look, this is what I'm a protector. I'm the shield, and sometimes the shield has to kill to be the shield.
That makes more sense.
Basically showing he's been holding back a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to kill.
He was fine then. The fight is amazing, but him as a character, I don't have much more to say than I did from the previous half.
Right. Well, for everything I said, again, I didn't get it in the first half. I don't even think it was. It's either I just didn't pick it up or it wasn't communicated well. But what I got in the second half, I thought that was really well done. And again, a good way to show a guy power up in a fight without it just being from your emotions or the power of friendship. He had an actual reason to be stronger in this fight than previous fights. And they built that into the story and resolved it in a natural way. I thought it was really good storytelling with Garfield, who's not my favorite character. He's he's a little grating. He's kind of a Naruto-ness to him. But I liked what they did with him. I like that they found an arc for him.
Glorious tiger.
Now let's talk about the fight.
Gorgeous tiger.
Gorgeous, you're right.
It is gorgeous tiger. He fights the multi-armed guy who he was
8.
It shows us in a
His 8 arms.
He wields 4 swords, and it shows in the flashback that, hey, yeah, if he's not using all 4 swords, he does not respect you as a fighter. And the guy's using 1, and Garfield's like, oh man. But then eventually he uses 4 because they fall into one of the shelters, the exact one his siblings are in. And then his siblings start cheering him on, and we get Jujutsu Kaisen level animation. Now it's only for a minute. It's not half an episode like Jujutsu Kaisen does. This is not a actual battle anime. This is a fantasy story. But for a fantasy story, this is one of the coolest fights I said. And as someone alluded to in their hot take, they have a panoramic camera view. And I was like, wait, there's no camera. You animated it for that camera shot. That's so cool. But the rest of it is fluid. The way he's spinning around, the way he's using his earth magic to tie up the guy's arms so that he can get in a strike. It's very hard to keep track of what's actually happening in the fight. I had to watch it like 3 times.
Still cool.
And they don't even show the killing blow, but it's just a visual splendor.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He wins the fight. And then he collapses. And then we're going
lose at least one hand and have broken legs, and yeah, he took a beating.
Yeah. And we go to Wilhelm and his fight. So I didn't even remember this I remember the Wilhelm versus the whale gluttony being like an emotional high point of ReZero season 1. Did not remember the details until they came back to the I never told you I loved you.
Uh-huh.
And it hit me again. I was like, oh, that's right. That's so rough. Yeah, so Wilhelm's fighting his wife, and we see in the flashback how her path through being the sword hero, and then how he manually became better than her, even though she's gifted. He became even better than her, so she didn't have to be that. They fell in love, but he would never say it. Eventually, she's like, hey, I'm gonna go fight the whale gluttony. He's like, oh, I should go do it. She stabs him just a little bit, but with a wound that won't heal if he... I don't know how the rule works, but he has to stay behind now.
He's got a divine protection of his own. It's the divine protection of the god of death, and it has something to do with his wounds not closing. I just don't remember how it works.
Oh, so it's his protection that's keeping his wound open.
Mm-hmm.
And her thing is, hey, when I come back, I want you to tell me. And he's like, oh, I'm an old man and I don't know how to do emotional things. He's fighting his wife. Wilhelm's son, that horrible, horrible character, happens to show up and be like, why are you killing my mommy? But Wilhelm was kind of winning before that, but then he starts losing. Then
Oh
Reinhardt
no, I
shows
guess
up.
that's hers. That's hers. It's one of her many divine protections. I thought it was his.
Also, she wasn't killed by the whale. She was killed by the witch. Satella
Yeah.
found her.
Not Satella, Pandora.
Pandora? I can't keep track.
Well,
So
Satella
many.
is supposed to be the Witch of Envy, right? That Amelia is a copy of. This is one of the. She's something else, but she's not one of the cult witches.
No.
She's the one that like banishes Regulus in the other movie. She had shown up to take out Amelia and the rest of the people there when Beetlejuice was still not Beetlejuice, and yeah, she's the one that Amelia had to freeze the forest in order
Oh.
to beat her
Contain.
because she was just going to take her.
But anyway, yeah, Reinhardt shows up, and Wilhelm's like, no, fight me. You're just fighting me. And Reinhardt beats her in one move. And he's like, that's not my grandma. I already killed my grandma. And then, yeah, there's this, just like this happened to Garfield's opponent too, but like when they're beaten and dying, they seem to get their faculties back control of their mind. And so she's dying in Wilhelm's arms, and he's like starting like he takes so long. He's like, I should have said, and I'm like, just say it, just freaking say it,
Right?
Get it out.
I thought the same thing. I was like, I told Tanya, I said, do you think she's gonna die before he says it? And he'll just be like, no, I still haven't said it.
Hey, emotional constipation happens to us all. Eat your fiber.
Your love
But
fiber.
she stops him and says, no, you did say it with your touch, with your eyes, and yada yada yada, and it's good. It's beautiful. I loved it. Then they say I love you to each other, and she turns into dust. And he asks Reinhard, did you have any hesitation or reservation about that? And Reinhard's like, no. Yeah, you regret it. Reinhard's like, no, that was a monster. I did my thing. And he's like, yeah, I don't have anything to say to you. He says
Well,
you're right,
Yeah, he
but
agreed
I
with
don't have
him.
anything more to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the thought that went through my head
out.
is that's not how Subaru would have handled it.
Well,
Yeah.
Subaru's also not a super powered swordsman.
Even if Subaru was, he wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, he would have been like trying to restrain her and what magic can we use to break her of this?
Mm-hmm. It is interesting that later Reinhardt is in favor of keeping Wrath alive and not just killing her.
Yeah, that is true. Then we see Otto's group versus Gluttony.
He's got a power and it does stuff.
They're like, don't let him touch you, but then he touches a bunch of people and it's fine. But then he licks.
He licks
he
his
also
hand
seems-
and then touches them.
But at one point, he's touching him with the other hand and licks his
Yeah.
hand, and that seems to work just fine.
So maybe it's the act of licking his hand while he's... I don't know. Gluttony makes no sense.
But yeah, and Gluttony's mocking them all with like, oh, I have memories of you. And they're like, do you know this person? And he's like, I don't know who this little Gluttony is. And they're all freaking out. I'm like, isn't it kind of obvious what he does? Like, we can handle this, guys. Let's all just calm down and not worry that he knows our memories. But he doesn't know who Otto is. And I even
Actually,
wrote down,
this scene's hilarious because he's like, guys, don't say my name. And they're just like, well, that's not a problem because we actually don't know who you are.
we don't know who you are.
You're the intelligence officers, right? The internal affairs officer? You don't
And he's like-
know me?
And he's like, oh,
It was really cute.
I have no friends.
Also, in this, we also jump to Al and his continuing fight with Lust, where we get this big, huge line that he delivers. Because she's like, "You're not gonna beat me." He's like, "Yeah, even if I died 100 more times, I don't think I'd figured out a way to kill you."
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, and she points out he's the one who flooded the city. He's the one who's killed out the council. Really seems like someone who knew what was going to happen was taking
Mm-hmm.
repeated
He's
steps.
denying it, but yeah, I I'm
I mean,
still
it's got to
in
be.
favor
It's
of it
almost
being
for sure.
him.
And
Yeah.
and I don't think on Priscilla's order. I think these were
Yeah.
independent actions. Priscilla seemed to not be aware of this. And he is like he's countering every move. He's able to hit her every time she comes at him, like he knows it's coming.
Which is very Subaru thing. But
Man,
the way
he's
that he refers to it is he says, "You better, you better get out of here before I die." Is the first thing he says to her when she falls down into the tunnel. And then as he keeps talking, he says, "Yeah, I think I died 3 times in that collapsing building."
Trying to get
And
out.
so part of me was wondering if there was some kind of like divine protection where when he dies, something happens to the person that killed him or something. But it really does fit Subaru.
it
So
there's so much that fits Subaru, and then just a little bit that doesn't.
yeah, exactly.
Especially because Subaru doesn't time travel. That's not how it works, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't make sense for there to be two Subarus.
But he got Fatal Juice's power. Now he's got Dragon Blood. Who's to say he doesn't get other powers in the future like
Yeah.
that?
He also Al calls like certain people nicknames that only
Subaru calls like
Subaru uses.
Beatrice.
Biko, yeah, he calls her Biko. It's,
Bayako.
yeah. I want if I had to guess, I'd say he's a Subaru in a way I just don't understand yet. But I think my biggest takeaway from this was, oh, we're seeing Return by Death, but we don't get to see it. We're seeing it how everyone else gets to see it, and I thought that was cool. I know that's not what you're here for. It doesn't give you the puzzle solving.
No, not
I
getting
don't.
my high.
I
Where's
don't
my
think
high?
he's. Yeah, I don't think he's Subaru, but I do think. Yeah, like you said, I think he's experiencing that. And the only other person that would be experiencing that would be Subaru. And so I guess it would follow if Al is might not be Subaru, but he might be from Subaru's world. Maybe.
Does the witch give her blessing to more than one hero at a time?
Or a different witch give the same blessing.
Maybe.
Don't know.
Anyway, and also again, he's like, I can't take off my mask. I'm so mysterious. I can never take off this mask.
No, and he always calls Subaru brother.
He
as
does.
well. That's another.
But Subaru doesn't have an actual brother, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. He had a mom and a dad. He was only a kid. Doesn't really matter. The fight is awesome. Lust. Your guys' thoughts on Lust and her power set now that we get to see her like really go all out?
Lust is awesome.
Yeah, it's just a great villain. Actually, I don't want to take it from Jeremy because everything he said kind of encapsulated what I thought about it. So go ahead, Jeremy.
She is just amazing. I've never seen a shapeshifter depicted so well. Some of the scenes where she is like a shadow walking along the hallway, and you hear one person's voice, and then you see in the shadow like the silhouette of another head appearing in the back and like biting and eating the previous head that was speaking, and then you have a new voice speaking. Like some of the things they do with her are so eerie and so unsettling. It's amazing. I love how giddy and hysterical she is the whole time. It's almost like she realizes how crazy and disgusting and gory that she is at the same time, as she is telling everybody to love her, basically. I absolutely love this character, and her insanity it's great. Wrath is a little bit annoying in the way that she presents it, and I got to say that when Lust was like in the first half broadcasting and everything, I found her to be really annoying because it was just hysterical laughter all the time. But like when she turned into the dragon in the tunnels this time, it was so good. Like in her expression, and she's like, "What the heck?" As the horn gets chopped off, just fantastic. Everything about this character and about how they handled shapeshifting was really cool.
I loved her. I'll never forget I forgot to grow eyeballs, so two rats run into my eye sockets and become eyeballs. That'll
So
stay with
good.
me.
So good.
She did a lot of horrific, gross transformations, but that was just so extra that it's gonna stay with me for a long time.
Mhm.
There's also the fight with Julius and the other gluttony. Not a whole lot happens other than this gluttony starts reminding Julius of memories that Julius doesn't have of a brother, and it freaks Julius out. Again, we see a scene over again, um, and he goes all out and attack, and we don't see how it ends.
Okay,
We
hang on,
are
hang on. We got to give this a little more attention than that. So his brother exists. His brother knew his combat techniques, which he developed as a knight, which means his brother must have also been a knight, which means his brother probably was out hunting gluttony or something and got devoured, and nobody remembers him. That is amazing.
Yeah.
This blew my mind. I was like, Julius had this guy existed and nobody remembers him, and the show didn't tell us anything about it because we wouldn't know about him because nobody
Right.
knew about him until this. This was amazing. Absolutely loved this.
He's not wrong, folks. It's good stuff, especially again. It fleshes out the world of ReZero, that it's not just the world is happening when Subaru's around. Things of these gluttony's going out and erasing people that we'll never meet and won't ever know existed until gluttony reveals that they did. Also, okay, so both gluttonies get away. I thought for sure they would be defeated, so Rem comes back. They're gonna keep Rem in a coma for longer.
Well, are they though? Are they though? Because here's an issue, and I don't really understand what's happening here, but we have 3 different gluttonies, and they stand for 3 different forms of gluttony and ways of eating, is from what I can tell. The one that has Rem is the one that they mostly defeated, and he had to kind of be rescued and drug away. But when Julius got eaten and nobody remembers him, he's still able to move around and walk around. And the cover for season 4, which hasn't been released yet, shows Rem in a wheelchair.
I thought Roy Gluttony was the one that ate Rem. Was it the other one?
It was the one that was talking to Otto.
Otto?
That's the one that ate Rem.
Oh, that's right, because he has Rem's memories. I guess I also assumed they could share across each other.
Maybe.
That probably doesn't make. Who knows? But you're right. It would probably make more sense to assume that was the one
Or
that ate.
Gluttony, once he gets a critical mass of people he's eaten, he splits.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
But there's also the whale. The whale was also gluttony.
Well, the whale was a tool of gluttony. It was kind of like a wild one of those beasts that they can create.
Yeah.
Maw beast.
Yeah, a maw beast, exactly. It isn't necessarily gluttony itself, but they create it and then it takes on an aspect.
Okay. Wasn't there more than one whale? Wasn't that the secret of the whale?
The whale could split into 3 lesser powered copies of itself.
Is that what's happening with our gluttony?
That's
That would make
very interesting question.
much
That'd be
more
thematic.
sense. Right.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah, I
think
don't know.
so though.
Okay. Yeah, we'll find out what happens to Julius later. Al drops the building onto Lust and swims away. Lust comes out and is like, "Hey, I give up, but also I'm going to send a bunch of monsters to kill you." It's Felis and Anastasia. They run away from the monsters. Reinhard shows up and saves them.
Okay, this is really interesting. This is more ammunition that it is Subaru, because after all that fighting with Lust, he's running away as if he genuinely fears these beasts. It's almost like he's doing the first time on this successful version of his life. Doesn't know how to counter these yet.
Yeah,
only has one arm too.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Al only has one arm.
Has that always been the case?
Yes.
How did I miss that? I must have just forgotten. Which arm is it? It's his right arm. And it's not Dragon.
Otto. Okay. Otto kind of figures out Gluttony's trick, and then Beatrice shows up, I suppose. Look, I got excited. It's an old trick. Like, let's keep a powerful character in the background and then bring him in at the last minute. I should have seen it coming. I actually thought it was not Felix. Felt. I thought it was Felt showing back up because she had said, "I'm gonna go get a weapon and come back." Like, oh, Felt's arrived, and then it was Betty, and I was like, ah, "It's Betty!" Wait, what? I care that much about Betty? I do, I suppose. So she has these magic crystals that Al stole from the council, that she's using to enhance her magic attacks, but she wants to save one because the whole reason they came here was to bring back Puck, and Puck's a friend of hers. So she has 6 crystals and only wants to use 5. And she does it. They because Felt does arrive with the weapon. They use the crystals to help power up the staff, and they blast Gluttony. He then changes into a weird looking guy with green hair, and then
Oh
into
no,
a
he didn't
little.
change into him. I'm pretty sure that the third one came and rescued him.
Oh, that was another Gluttony.
Yeah, because remember when she left, she talked about how there were 3 aspects. There's the gourmet, there's the one that eats everything, and then
That's
there's the one
true.
that eats
And they
foul
say it's
food.
about who you eat with.
Mhm.
What about was that also the little girl?
Yeah,
Man,
the
very
one that showed up
Gluttony.
as the big creepy dude, that was the little girl.
Okay.
Which I guess maybe isn't a little girl then. I don't know. Maybe it's a little boy.
Probably
I
just a
have no
persona
idea.
of somebody they've eaten.
That could be. That could be.
All right. Well, then they beat them. The battle's over. Everyone kind of starts meeting back up, and they have captured Wrath. Priscilla beat her. I don't know if I ever said that, but she did. She knocked her into a river, but she didn't get away. They captured her. And then they go to talk to her, and she's like, "Oh, Subaru, I love you so much." But really, it's because he has Beetlejuice's power inside him, and she's like, "I'm going to bring him back out." And Amelia smashes her into a wall. And she's like, "Sorry, I'm not good at holding back."
Oh, it's
So
because she licks Subaru on the
Yeah, she
chest.
looks
Right.
It's such a good scene when Amelia flips out with that.
So
Do you guys
Wrath.
remember?
Oh,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. Wrath has Amelia's eyes, and she's got elf ears and the silver hair.
Mhm.
I don't.
And she loves Beetlejuice.
She loves
Mhm.
Beetlejuice.
Keep going.
Mhm.
It's just Amelia's sister.
I think it might be Amelia's caretaker, sister, or mother. That one that was in the movie. That was
Or
like
another copy
That
of
was
her?
clearly in love with Beetlejuice, and then they got attacked
Mhm.
by Greed.
And Beetlejuice
Oh, so
killed her.
both of them
Ripped her heart.
became. Both of them
Well, he ripped
became.
her heart out.
Oh,
So I don't know, but maybe that's why she's in bandages, is because it's corpse reanimation or something.
I don't
But she
know.
talks a lot. The others didn't.
There's also that when she saw Amelia, because she blamed Amelia for Beetlejuice dying,
Mhm.
but that we assumed that was when they defeated him in season 1, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was when he died or got
Mhm.
taken by Greed in the beginning.
Yeah. And what do you guys remember about Beetlejuice? As far as like, what was he before he became a witch cult archbishop?
He brought supplies to the elves, right?
He's a merchant?
What was his race?
Oh, I thought
Human.
he was human.
I thought he was human.
Okay.
I assumed he was human.
I didn't remember very clearly, so I had to go and look to see like what happened at the beginning, and I don't know if they revealed it in the show or not, so I don't want to say, but he's special. He was special. And I understand why Wrath thinks she can bring him back out of Subaru.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, they discuss what to do with all the fly people and beast people that are now throughout the city, and Wrath, and they decide to spare them all. Priscilla's like, we'll just kill the beast, and Amelia's like, I can cryo freeze them, and they use the crystal they were saving for Puck to do that. It was my understanding.
Really? Did it
Yeah.
show crystal breaking? I didn't catch that.
No, but it did. I'm sure Betty still had one at the end of the gluttony fight,
Yes.
but then after she does the freeze, she tells Subaru, "I guess we'll find another way to get Puck back."
Oh, I thought she said, I guess we'll be seeing Puck soon. That's what I read.
I was under the impression that that last crystal was what they were going to bring Puck back with,
Yeah.
because
she
he
froze
said
all
it
the
was
girls.
specifically from the council member that was still alive.
Oh, you think they got another one? Like, you think that, yes, it did use a crystal, but then they got another one afterwards. I thought all of his crystals were stolen.
They were. They
Yeah,
say Al
Al-
stole all the crystals
yeah.
and gave them to Betty.
Yeah.
You
No, I
just
got
wanted
the
to wake her
impression
up.
that
And...
it didn't use the crystal, but I guess I could be wrong.
That only accounts for 7.
So
She said there
is
were
Puck
5.
coming back?
That
I was
got
under the impression
Puck
that
coming
swear
back soon.
you swear what?
that she said we will find another way to get him back.
Really?
But Jason, you saw him say also that they would come back soon. I'll take the majority opinion. I'm fine with that. Like, I'm
I
making
don't-
notes while I'm trying to watch this, guys. I look up and down over and over again. I miss stuff.
I don't remember one way or the other. Plus, I watched dub, so I didn't read anything. But I was under the impression, because they specifically called out the last one they had was the crystal that they were attempting to get from the council member that was still alive. So
Right.
my assumption is now that they have that crystal, they can get Puck back.
Oh, she does say we'll have to wait just a bit longer to see each other again, Puck.
Yeah,
I took that to mean, yeah, because he says, which we owe to all of Bika's hard work, he says immediately afterwards. So it sounds like a positive thing. Like she's saying, we'll have to wait just a little while longer because we have the crystal because of Beatrice's hard work.
Probably
bring
like,
you
hey,
back.
when I get home, I'll bring you back.
Okay.
Kind of.
All right.
I don't
yeah.
know.
That's how I took
And
it.
so I did look at an old picture of both Betelgeuse and Wrath, or well, Betelgeuse and his wife, and yeah, she's an elf,
Not wife.
or
But
well,
he did like her.
who she was with that really liked him.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was Wrath. Yeah.
All right. The final twist. After checking in with everyone, Subaru sees Julius. He sees Ricardo first. She's like, "Oh man, I lost a hand. It was crazy. I barely got out of there all by myself." And Subaru doesn't catch that. He runs up to Julius. He's like, "Julius," and she's just like, "You remember me?" And Amelia's like, "Who's that?" And yeah, so everyone has forgotten Julius existed except for Subaru because he's somehow still resistant to whatever effect gluttony has on the world.
What a brutal ending.
And the tears in Julius's eyes, and Subaru's face of like, oh my god, not again. Well, I played this in the part 1. I love the love hate bonding now good buddies of Julius and Subaru. I think it's well written characters. Anyway,
Weird.
let's go to final reviews. Let's do it. Jason, you picked it. Give us a score. Hurry up!
5. Loved it. Watch it. What do you want? What more do you want from me?
Anything?
The characters were everything I wanted. The
Jeremy,
payoffs
what'd
were
you
amazing. And you know what? I lost the recording. Oh no.
Oh,
Don't scare me like that. We're on new recording material. We're all scared. No one might ever hear this. We're terrified. Jeremy, go.
okay, so if this was
5. All right, Troy.
I really want to give it a 4, but that's not fair because I'm rating it for my satisfaction in the ReZero category alone. If I rate it with all anime, it's a 5. I have to give it a 5 because the fights were amazing. Some of the sequences had really good depth. Finding out about Julius's brother, that was just like this added on story. Coming back and getting the history of Wilhelm and Teresa told from the other side, which completely makes that scene where he's like telling her that she's not going to be the sword saint, he's actually gonna to fight for her, and she's asking him, "Oh, well, do you like flowers?" I remember when we first watched that in season 1, I was like, "Wow, she's a wacky girl. This is weird. I wonder why she's like that." and seeing it from her perspective, that whole scene just hits completely differently. So
her breaking down and crying, realizing what she's taken from her brother.
yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. And when her brothers were dying on the battlefield, especially like the first one where Tanya and I were watching it and she's like, I hate this character. I hate this character. I hate this character. Because Teresa's not getting out there and doing what she needs to, and everybody's dying. Like her whole family is dying. And I get that, but at the same time, I kind of like the way that story rolls out because it's believable. It's not what you want out of a sword saint, but it's a believable story. And it does a great job of telling those kinds of stories and presenting the characters this way. If Al really is Subaru, if there really is some kind of bigger thing going on as far as the loops go right now, if there is something else, like Julius is a very mild punishment in my opinion, because he's not in a coma. He's still able to act. I'm assuming that he still has control over the spirits that he had before. He just, nobody knows him, and so they have to rely on Subaru to say who he is. So that doesn't seem like as big of a cost, and it doesn't seem like they really paid any other costs, at least from the heroes party. So kind of seems like getting off pretty easy in this encounter compared to previous seasons.
Subaru is permanently scarred on 2 limbs.
Not necessarily a bad thing. Those regenerate so fast.
They're so gross. They look like they're dead limbs.
Yeah, but that's okay.
Every time I saw it, I was like, "Oh, so
It's a
gross! I can see your
you
veins."
can wear a glove. You just wear a glove.
Oh.
You're good. Other characters do that.
That's what Luke Skywalker
Still
did.
5. Yeah, exactly. Still a 5. Overall, a 5 as well.
5 for me. I think it's fair to say it's a 5 for you, but least favorite season so far.
Yes.
5 for me. I felt like it was a big payoff for everything they've been building the past 2 seasons. I didn't see. I mean, once we got going, yeah, you can kind of see where I was going. Hey, we're gonna have 4 separate battles, happen in 4 separate places, and reveal and do classic anime battle things. But going into the season, I had no idea where we were going. Until those 4 separated, I said in the last thing, I didn't know if we were gonna do a restart or not. And I like the daring, may I even say, brave choice. I did it again. That's the 3rd time. That's a 5. I'm done. We're watching. Oh, it's in my notes. What I said earlier.
Jeremy, what are we watching?
What are we watching?
Beetlejuice?
Zenshuu. With 2 U's. Zenshuu. We're gonna be watching that next, and that'll be our next episode. And if you have thoughts on our thing, go to our website thingy and hit the contact us thingy, or go to the @Baka podcast thingy, or wherever we found the thingy, just put it in the comment thingy. All right, I'm done. I don't want to do this no more.
Thanks for listening.
Beetlejuice!
Sayonara.